Do a little rope cutting with the SP1. This is 1 ton rated nylon rope that is about 1/4 inch thick. Ooh, not good. There we go. I really have to put some effort into that. Let's see here. Let's do it again. There we go. You definitely have to put some more effort than, say, some other knives on the market to get through this cord. Yep, that didn't even go through. Woo! And part of that is just how thick the blade is in the spine. And the grinding, I believe, is grinding at about 25 degrees. So it's supposed to hold its edge for a longer period of time, and it's definitely not going to slice like, say, some of your thinner blades. You know, it's 0.19 inches thick, 3/16 of an inch thick. You know, you definitely have to put some effort and knock your camera over. Just wanted to show you guys that, how difficult it is. It's not cutting rope very well, which is kind of a disappointment. If I saw back and forth, it'll do that easily enough. There we go. So it's cutting through rope that way. But just pull cutting, you really got to think about it and put some effort into it with the SP1. So the edge is not necessarily the best for slicing when it comes to through man-made materials as, say, some other thinner blades. As I'm using this SP1, I love the fact that it has a lanyard hole and that it has this nice little hook back here. I can really get some good leverage on it. It weighs 10 ounces, so that's some good heft to it. And you know, unlike a K-bar, you know, utility knife, it doesn't have a lanyard hole, those knives, and they don't have a hook back here to really grab your hand. So I can grab it right here with my 2 fingers and really get some good leverage as I hack. You see there. There we go. Split a really good piece, about 2.5 inches wide. SP1, that handle and that lanyard hole really help make it more versatile than, say, some of those other combat utility knives out there on the market. You can see how fine I'm getting that wood with the SP1. Let's see here. You can really get some of those really fine pieces of wood going. It definitely has a wide grind angle. It's definitely more than 20 degrees. I want to say it's like 25. Ontario Knife Company grinds in all their knives by hand, so it's really hard to tell, but I would say this is probably 25 to 30 degrees. So you can see it's definitely doing the job. It's just a little bit more difficult. I kind of have to do a rounding motion because of the grind angle, which is supposed to keep the edge for a longer period of time. It's not as razor sharp as you would like. I mean, it's definitely sharp. If I run my finger any harder along here, I'm definitely going to cut myself. But you have to work a little harder at it, and so it's kind of up to you if you just want to keep it that way or if you want to bring in the grind angle a little bit more and make it a little bit sharper. It won't hold its edge for as long a period of time, but it'll shave a little bit better. But you can see there, look at how thin. I mean, that's definitely an awesome fire stick right there. And what's cool is as I'm using this knife, I can either do this move, which isn't my favorite when I'm doing this type of stuff, but I can really get on it and do it very comfortably, holding it like this. And with this guard, you know, it's a craton rubberized material, I can scoot up over it without it really bothering my thumb and really put some more pressure if I need to on the actual spine of the blade with my thumb that a lot of other, you know, combat utility knives in this style, like the Ontario, I believe it's 498 Mariner, or any of the K-bar utility knives, you just can't get your thumb over them like I can do with this knife and a lot of the other SP models, regardless if it's, you know, the SP2, this SP1, or any of those other knives, I can get my thumb over there without too much difficulty and really go to town on the knife. So you can see as I'm stabbing in, my hand is not wanting to ride up on those guards. You know, those guards lock me into place really well, so I can really do that like gut thrust in if I had to. And that clip point design with the sharp swedge, this is actually sharpened up here about 2 inches on the knife itself. So you got the whole sharp bottom edge of the whole knife, and then you got this up, the clip is sharpened. This is going to stab and penetrate like really no other knife, aside from like maybe some daggers. I mean, this is going to stab and penetrate and get into somebody's gut, through their armor, you know, through their LBE, their heavy garments very easily. This SP1 will stab like none other, and you don't have to worry about accidentally riding up and accidentally cutting yourself. So as a stab or tactical knife, the SP1 is a knockout and a home run.
Well, hey there everybody, welcome to another episode of Gideon's Tactical. Today we are checking out the Ontario Knife Company SP1. This is a 7-inch fighting knife, utility knife, that you've already seen some testing with, and we'll just kind of talk about it, give you the basic specs, and go on down the line. So basic specs for you here is a 7-inch blade, plain edge, 0.18 inches thick, or 3/16 of an inch thick, which is really nice. Made out of 1095 high carbon steel, made here in the US of A. Craton handle, lanyard hole. Weighs in at 10 ounces. Nylon Cadora / leather sheath. And those are the basic specs for you. So let's go ahead and jump on into the tip. As you've seen already, great stabber, great piercer. The SP1 is going to do a good job when it comes to penetrating, especially with that sharpened clip point swedge. Right there, down to that very precise tip, very strong, reinforced all the way through. You're not going to worry about, even with prying and different things like that, of breaking and chipping. That tip is very, very strong with some of the things that I've been able to do with it. I'm very impressed with that clip point, and it's just going to stab just as well as any Tanto, and I would say stab even better than some other of those utility knives out there on the market because of the unsharpened top. The sharpened top of the swedge. Now with that, just kind of talk about that really quick. Some states will consider this a dagger and an illegal weapon because it is dual sharpened and it has that sharpened swedge. So if you are looking at this knife, just kind of know your state laws. You know, if you're in a state that, you know, they don't give a crap about any knives, then awesome. If you live in a state like New York, you know, like maybe New Jersey, California, those type of places, just kind of check your local laws and make sure you know what you're doing before you buy this knife, because if you are, you know, hiking or something and a ranger catches you with it, you know, or in your home, you know, the cops come into your home for some weird reason, they catch you with it, you could definitely go to jail in certain states because they would consider this a deadly weapon with the sharpened swedge up there. So just FYI on that. A little bit of belly. I mean, it's mostly just a straight blade. You can see there that 1095 is a great steel. They Rockwell hardness it to 5758. So great Rockwell hardness, going to hold an edge well. Like I said in the video, I don't know exactly what they've grinded it into. It is not razor sharp out of the box. It's not hair popping sharp. Now with 1095, you can change that relatively easily with a stone. You could take about a half hour and reprofile the edge if you did want it to be more hair popping sharp. I know that they probably brought it out to 25 or 30 degree angle so that it would hold an edge for a longer period of time. You know, this is supposed to be a combat knife before the soldier would have to go in and resharpen the blade. It does its job well. I would have liked to see it a little bit sharpener, probably around 20 degrees, but that's just the way it comes out of the box. Saber grind, which is really nice, strong, and a good coating on this knife. I really like that. It's got a really good coating on this knife. Haven't seen any scuffing with it. It's smooth. It's not grippy and textury, which is good. So it will slide through both wood and man-made materials quickly and won't drag like some other knives that we know out there. 3/16 of an inch thick. That's really thick. That's almost twice as thick as the normal K-bar utility knife that we know so well, the U.S. Marines K-bar utility knife. This is almost twice as thick. So I'm actually borrowing this from a friend of mine, so I cannot use this to baton with. Didn't want me to do that, but I know that this will baton as good, if not better, than your K-Bar utility knives. And you know, this style of knife that a lot of other companies would make, this is really thick and will split better than some of those other pieces, other knives out there, because of the thickness of the spine, and it's going to lend itself to be able to, you know, just be really strong when you're having to pry and do those different things. The handle itself is Kraton, very comfortable. The different ways that I've used it, feels very good in your hand. Kraton does slightly wear out after a little while, but this has ribbing along the knife, so it gives you really good texturing. I wear large size gloves. You can see there I have 2 stacks basically left over. Very comfortable in my hand, fills out my hand well, good palm swell. And it's going to take a very, very long time because it doesn't have any checkering on it. It's just those ribs that give you the texture and the grip. Those would take almost a lifetime to probably wear out, so you don't really have to worry about the knife wearing out. Has this guard here, as we've seen in the stabbing test, does great at protecting your hand. You're not going to ride up on it, and it's short enough that you can choke up right over this knife and go to town. And that's what all the SP models, the Spec Plus knives have, are these Kraton, if I could talk today, Kraton guards, which is cool because you can get your thumb over it and they're kind of flexible, as well as if you really are using this purely as a wilderness blade and you don't like that top guard at all. I've done it actually with one of my older SP2s. You can cut this off right here just with a knife, just use a box cutter, cut this off and use a file, kind of round it around, make it look nice, and then you can basically bring this down to flush or just above the tang of the knife, and then you can easily get your thumb over there and do a lot more of your detailed work if you want to do that with your SP, if you really wanted to. Full tank construction down into nice lanyard hole and this really good finger cup like you've seen as you do the chopping, just feels really good. And again, that's another plus over, say, some of those like K-bars and other things, is a lot of those don't have, and that style usually does not have a lanyard hole, so you can't get quite as good a swing, and it's just a straight handle, no hook back here. So this really lends itself to be for the type of knife, and I'm talking again utility fighting knives along the style. Obviously this is they took this design from the original K-bar fighting knife from World War II. They took it, they modified it a little bit to fit their needs. And I will say in some ways this is definitely almost a better wilderness blade. You are going to get better chopping out of this SP1 than you would out of the K-bar. It's just a fact with the lanyard. You can get better swings on it, and the hook back here, you're going to be able to chop as well, if not, in my opinion, slightly better, as we've seen from some of the chopping tests. And now it's 10 ounces, it's kind of lightweight, has that wide grind angle, so it's not going to maybe chop as well as, say, a BK7, which has the same length, or a Rat 7. My Rat 7 chops way better because it weighs 2 ounces more and it has a better just geometry of the blade. But for a fighting knife, this chops rather well. It feels comfortable in your hand while you're doing it. Finally, to the sheath, you got nylon on the front, little plastic loop, shoelace, dumb. Where's the 550 paracord? This is shoelace right here, bolted in, really nice. 2 lashing points, really large, huge. Belt loop, you can definitely get your tactical belt through there. Leather on the back, stamped and weaved through. Knife slides into place. You got 2 retention points, covers the guard. And the handle back here, which I like because as you are using the knife, that attachment over the guard is going to protect the knife and it's not going to slide out. It can't get it slide out. Super silent, not going to rattle or anything like that. So, price point, probably around 45 bucks. You're going to probably pay about $5 less than you would for a K-bar utility knife or the Ontario Mariner. $4.98, I believe, which is exact copy and carbon copy of the K-bar utility knife. So you're gonna pay about $5 less, and probably I would say you're gonna get a little bit better wilderness use out of this knife than you would out of the K-bar utility knife. So just because of the thickness of the blade and the lanyard and the hook back here for the handle. So great knife, and particularly for the price point, under 50 bucks, you're gonna get a US made, heavy duty, hard use knife that I believe will last you a lifetime and do a lot of tasks for you, regardless if it's defending your life overseas or going out in the bush and doing some bushwhacking and camping. This SP1 by Ontario Knife Company can definitely do the job. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.